back in your life on Thursday, May 4th, 2017. I have a rule today. Do not break that rule. The rule is this. I'm okay with you saying May the 4th be with you if you're okay with me calling you a dork. However, you can only do this up until noon. After noon, you are no longer even remotely close to being original on anybody's timeline. This message has been put everywhere. So, after noon, now you're a super dork, and I don't want to talk to you because you're just dumb. You can get it in now, early. It's the first thing you did. You're happy. Star Wars Day, good. I'm okay with that. I like Star Wars too. But anything after noon, you're dork. What's that, Dan?
Okay, so my question is, it is officially 30 seconds to 1 p.m. So does the dork thing apply in the time zone you're in or the time zone that you are in?
It applies in our time zone. So I would let you get away with it because it's still not noon over here.
Okay.
But anybody that does it in your time zone, definitely punch that guy. Seriously.
Punch him. You're a violent man, Goose.
Right
You're a violent man.
Yeah. Because, I mean, come on. So many people have already done it.
2 minutes.
What'd you just do right now, Jason? I looked up. You look like the Statue of Liberty.
What did I do?
Yeah, you were like this or something.
I was waving at this young man right here.
That was an odd wave.
Sorry. I got long limbs.
It's Gorgeous George walking into the studio right now. And he's setting up for what will be a fantastic show today.
You guys want to see something wild?
Yeah.
Always.
On Facebook, when they pop up the memories, I open up my Facebook app and look what pops up 5 years ago today.
That's us.
I was with you guys.
That's why we booked you.
To the day.
Wow.
You guys didn't know that.
That's awesome.
Goose is like, yes.
Hey, you guys want to hear something?
Planned it perfectly.
Also trippy is how much time do we have before we go?
We have a minute
10.
10.
Oh, yeah, a minute 10. Sorry.
So over spring break, I took my family to Chicago. Wanted to take them to a Cubs game, right? And we get to Chicago. We're going to go to the opening week. We're going to go to a game. And on my same thing, they were going to the game. Boop, Facebook memory pops up 14 years ago to the day that I went to my first Cubs game with my friends. The picture pops up, boom, to the day, and I'm taking my family.
Come back 30.
That is kind of trippy.
Yeah. What'd you get? Oh, dude, you didn't have to get us anything.
Why is it sealed like you guys are in Game of Thrones or something?
This is cool, man.
Hold up that seal, Rob,
That's
so they can
pretty
see on the
awesome.
camera.
Look at that.
George apparently has candle wax at home or something and his own seal.
You should have got like an owl to fly it in.
That's really awesome, bro. Thank you.
Why didn't you send it in via Raven, George?
All right, guys, coming up at 10. And bye.
She had a good experience. She liked it. I got to get her back in there.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Go.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, You are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our East co-host. And back east, he's going to handle all the producing duties today. It's Danny. Sitting to my far right, Jason B., the intern. What's up, Jason?
How's it going?
Good. And, of course, something wrong with your voice. I didn't hear you there.
I believe. There you go.
Oh,
there.
He
Okay.
was watching
Sorry.
the playoffs last night. He was screaming.
Cleared his throat there.
Yeah.
Sitting to my right, Las Vegas-based attorney, good friend of the show, Rob Cardenas. What's up, Rob?
Good morning, fellas.
Looking sharp as always.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I don't want to stand too close. I don't want to get cut.
Yeah, that's funny.
I don't want to get sliced. How you been?
I've been really good, really good. As I mentioned off air.
You were on air.
According to my Facebook feed, the memory popped up this morning that I was with you guys in studio 5 years ago today.
Yeah,
The day.
that's why
Pretty
we
cool.
booked it.
I know that's why you guys reached out to me to celebrate my 5-year, and you guys have your 10-year coming up. So.
It already came and went.
But the party.
The party.
Yeah,
Yes.
party.
The party in conjunction with
Yes.
2,500 shows.
Ooh.
I have a feeling that Rob's not going to go. You want to
Really?
know why? I haven't heard from Rob.
My daughter has a soccer tournament in Denver that weekend.
What?
On
And-
Memorial Day weekend, who schedules
Yeah.
a tournament then? Not on your behalf. What kind of a tournament does this? Because you would think that they allow families to start enjoying holidays together and vacations together. So that's a bit bizarre.
Club soccer doesn't have any respect for family holidays. Every Memorial Day weekend for the past 4 years we've gone out of town. It's usually been to San Diego, but this particular year it's in Denver, Colorado. So
When do you leave?
Thursday morning.
Oh, so we haven't lost our quarterback yet
No.
for the Tuesday night
No.
game.
I'm
But,
in, dude.
I mean, they're going to be cool with him FaceTiming in from here, right?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I hate that I'm going to miss it, but I did confirm with my wife this morning because I knew that was going to be a subject.
You tried one last time?
I'm like, babe, when do we leave? Thursday morning. Oof.
Damn.
I deliberately didn't tell you guys though because I wanted to sneak my way back in here.
Yeah, I figured. Hey, driving or flying?
We're flying.
Flying?
Yeah, that's a long drive.
Yeah.
That's a long drive.
I didn't really think that out before I asked it.
How's your the new not new actually, you're probably pushing a year now
Well,
of having your
we
own.
actually celebrated our year
There you go.
on April 6th.
Yeah.
So it's been going really well. I was explaining to Goes that it's every day is a hustle and a grind, but it's what gets me up in the morning and gets me moving, and I love it. I mean, it's been a really, really awesome ride thus far.
Best decision ever?
Best business decision I've ever made.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been very exhilarating. I've never felt more freedom.
Yeah.
More financial freedom. I mean, I'm in this weird state where I don't know where the next client's coming from. I don't know where the next dollar is coming from, but I just feel safe and secure because I have control over my future and my destiny. Whereas before as an employee, I didn't necessarily have that. So things have been going really well. I mean, very thankful for opportunities like today where, I can come in and hang out with you guys, but even, you guys plug me, and which I really appreciate. But yeah, I've been very blessed to have some good clients, and we're working hard and we're building. I'm happy with where I'm at in my life, but I'm not content, just building.
Rob is personal injury is I guess the meat and potatoes of his practice, but he'll point you in any direction. And trust me, I have I've been a part of that. On the personal injury side, he tended to me and cha-ching. And then the other thing is I actually connected a friend of a friend, I think of a friend, towards Rob, and I guess what would be a domestic abuse, right? Is what it was, or
yeah.
Yeah, it was it was a friend of my man over there at Hollywood Park. So yeah, maybe there was one extra friend there layer, but still, I didn't know who the party was, and so I connected them to Rob, and then Rob connected, through his network.
I've heard from a lot of junkies
and made that happen.
helped them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like to help people. I love, being of service to people, and, I extend it to all of Junkie Nation. If anyone out there, fans and friends of you guys, I consider them to be friends to me as well, even if we haven't met personally. And what I have extended in the past is if anyone out there has questions that they want to reach out, they can always do so. And if I can't help you myself, I'm going to try to get you with somebody that can help you. And that would be somebody that I would utilize myself. So, that's as a service to not just your followers and fans, but to you guys. I mean, I extend that to them because of you guys, our relationship.
You should have probably waited on that until after the junkie gathering. 'Cause I have a feeling there'll be more candidates after that week. Right?
There'll be some trouble, for sure.
There may be, but that's why I'm putting it out there now.
And Jason, you had some stalker allegations towards you, right? You want to ask? That was private. That was a private conversation. We'll leave that one alone. All right. Well, it's a wide open show today, but we are going to be joined by one of the best journalists to ever do it, Josh Gross, co-host of The Outsiders, along with Jeff Sherwood. He'll be on the show today. But that first hour is wide open, and we do plan on talking about Tough. It went down again last night. Of course, that's Jason B's dog right there. He'll be doing it. He'll be talking about it. He'll be recapping it. Team Garbrandt versus Team Dillashaw. If you haven't seen it, I suppose I'll give you a pass. Then you'll probably want to turn down the radio in about 2 minutes or so. Or
I don't give a pass. I don't give a pass.
I don't either, but
I give a pass?
I do in the sense that like I've been through that where, like, for example, inside the NFL, it's there on Tuesday, but I sometimes don't get to it till Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I get that as far as like a live sporting event, but TV shows, I'll give them that. I mean, I know that I'm going to start turning it over to him in a couple minutes, so I'll just give him that opportunity.
I'll give you one reason why I don't give anyone a pass. This show is MMA junkie. A junkie doesn't go, I'll do heroin tomorrow. I got shit to do. Every day, he's on point. If you're a junkie and you're listening to this program, you're a junkie.
Well, you
no
are.
Reason for you to miss that.
But there's a lot of casuals out there, and there's a lot of junkies that I guess just have the structured weeks. So we're going to talk about it. It's not like we're not going to talk about it. We are. I was just trying to give them a little bit of a courtesy. You still keep up with it, by the way?
MMA.
Well, yeah, that, but The Ultimate Fighter? Or?
The Ultimate Fighter, not so much,
Yeah.
admittedly. So I've fallen to one of those ones that, that Goes would be critical of.
Well, I noticed that when I brought these odds for UFC 211, you grabbed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in, the odds. I mean, I follow.
Did you know who was on the card even before you looked at it?
I knew the main guys. I love Frankie, so
So you knew he was fighting in about a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, on a personal level, I like Frankie a lot. Like, there are guys, having been in the business and having interacted with them, there are certain guys that no matter where they're at in their career, I'm always going to be cheering for them and always pull for them with my heart, right, rather than maybe my mind. I love Frankie Edgar. He's just not only a great fighter, but a great, great dude.
Isn't cross-examining one of your specialties?
I would say, I mean, I'm good at it. Yeah.
All right, so when you've been up there and you've asked somebody that's on the stand a question and they don't give you the direct answer, you keep piling on. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. Did you know Frankie Edgar was fighting next weekend? I know you like him. I like him too.
No, I did.
He likes him. He likes him. Junkie next.
No,
Did you know he was fighting next week?
I knew of the only one that I was surprised by was the Pettis one, and I didn't know that he was fighting. But all the other ones,
you knew Frankie Edgar was fighting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
you knew it was headlined by Stipe Miocic and JDS.
Well, because the billboards are all over the community.
All
you
right,
can't miss it.
Just checking. I didn't know if you completely checked out of the
sport.
No.
You know what? You know what's interesting is that when I was in the industry and in the sport, I had less time to really enjoy it and analyze it and watch it as a fan. Whereas now that I'm no longer involved on any aspect of the business portion of it, it enabled me to get back to being a fan. Mm-hmm. I can sit, I can watch the fights, I can enjoy it for what it is and what it was, rather than what the impacts would have on clients or sponsors or potential clients. So I still follow the sport. Now, I don't watch every fight pass. I usually generally don't watch a fight pass, but I'm one of these DVR guys. Like, I'll DVR everything, and late in the evening I'll watch them because it's usually by myself. The kids are asleep, wife's asleep. But the main stuff, like, this is a really good card. I like this card a lot. I'm intrigued by the heavyweight fight.
I'd like to take us in another direction. And it's only because you brought it up, George. You cross-examined him right now.
He did.
And I'm kind of curious. Have you ever been held in contempt? Have you ever been close to that? What's, like, the most heated you've ever gotten on the drilling someone?
I got in trouble with a judge a couple years back in a settlement conference. So it wasn't in open court, but it was a trial judge, and let's just say the lawyers and I on the other side we had a disagreement, and I saw that it wasn't going anywhere, and so I left the proceeding. And the judge wasn't too happy about that, and caught up with me in the hallway, and then kind of read me the riot act on don't ever disrespect her again, and this is her forum, and I needed to go back in and apologize to the other lawyers, and to apologize to her in front of them. It was a power play on her part, but and I didn't need to do it. I didn't need to go back in there, but you in my job, in my profession, it's always a good thing to show deference and respect to the judges, whether they're right or wrong, or you think they're right or wrong. And so that was probably the worst situation I've been in with the judge, because I'm usually a pretty respectful guy. I have respect for their position and the robe and all that. But yeah, she was not too pleased with me, but I had every right to be upset. I should have just been a little bit more respectful of her position, but it worked out.
The Jason B segment has been delayed 5 minutes because now I just came up with a question.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been in one of those court cases where no, you know how like you see a fight breaks out because like a sentence was given and the other side, let me see, it would be the defendant's side doesn't agree, and they start lunging and bailiffs and like where chaos ensued.
No,
never.
No. I mean, I don't do. I've done some criminal work, but I've stayed away from it, and usually that's where like the cool stuff happens.
I see.
Like the interesting stuff. But I would be scared shitless. I could say that word, right?
Yeah.
I'd be scared shitless.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
It's not the worst thing.
To represent somebody, and knowing that if we lost, they would be facing serious jail time. I don't know that I could deal with that.
I see.
If my clients don't win, if we don't win, it's usually about money,
right?
As opposed to somebody's, life going away, going to jail, that sort of thing.
What's your proudest moment when you presented something and whoever was on the stand had no answer, or you felt like at that point the jury made a decision and you just kind of said to yourself, game, set, match.
Drop your mic.
Exactly.
Drop the gavel.
Well, I mean, there's been many instances where you're in a deposition scenario, or you're cross-examining somebody, where you stumble across something where you catch them in a lie, and once it's very difficult for them to unravel that, right?
Right.
So you catch them in a lie, and they're lying, and then you've got documentation or other evidence to support the fact that they're lying. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that is interesting and fun in my little arena.
Right.
But looking back, I mean, there's been lots of moments that I could say I'm proud about, and they aren't necessarily substantial victories in terms of monetary value. It's just, you do the right thing.
What? You
win.
I could have sworn there was some stuff going on with hotels where millions were you made millions for.
Well, there are big wins, but sometimes you get in my business, or at least for me, I get more satisfaction out of helping somebody that like really, really, really in need, and it may not necessarily be about the money that they end up with, but that you did everything you could do, you got a really good result for them, you helped them, and you've connected with that individual. I have this belief that we're all in the people business, right? Like, and being able to connect with people on a personal level. I just happen to be a lawyer, so I love helping people. I'm a lawyer by trade, but I really help people, and so I get a lot of satisfaction out of that. Inherent in what I do, there's money involved, and money is a byproduct of what we do. And so my hope in building my business is that the more and more good I do, the more and more good things happen to me and those around me, and that will equate to money on some level.
The Rams should hire. They need help They're at minus 150. I thought my Niners were bad. We're 75 to 1.
Dude.
You guys are 150 to 1. What the hell happened?
We're bad. We're just bad.
Did a plane crash with all the starters or what?
We're bad.
I didn't think they were that bad. Didn't they have a good D going a few years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what though? In their defense,
Star running back. They got a new quarterback last year.
But if you look at it, when we were like building and we were right there on the verge of like maybe a breakthrough, maybe not. Like we're like 7-9, 8-8. You know, but that was back when the NFC West was really competitive. You know, the Niners were really good, the Seahawks were really good, the Arizona Cardinals were really good. So even though I thought, you know, we'd have a tough time competing within that division, even though we may beat one or some of those teams, whereas now there's a drop-off in our whole entire division, and you know, and we started to lose players, and I mean it's a tough league, man. It's a tough league. You go out and you grab a quarterback, but you need the people around him. You need the line to protect him. You need different things going on. So
I'd love to have their running back. I mean, Carlos Hyde's great, but he gets injured, and we would love to have a first round pick quarterback like you guys have. Goff is his name. What's his name?
Jared Goff.
Anyway.
Goof.
Hey,
I don't want to delay Jason's segment anymore, but I do have somebody announcing their letter of intent for the Junkie Gathering. It's a blast from the past, George. I think you're really going to like this one.
Yeah? Sorry, Jason B. We're postponing your segment.
I'm used to it around
once again.
Can you bring on the bat line?
Yes. Junkie Hotline, who's this?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
wow,
Blast from the past.
that's always scary.
Yeah.
George obviously can't tell who this is.
I don't know who this is.
This is Miss Rara.
Can you recognize
Oh,
my
my God. Miss Rara. If she would have started singing, I would have recognized it. She's got some pipes.
For the Junkie Gathering. Can you believe that? How cool is that?
Yeah, very cool. Miss Rara. Holy cow. Back in the day when we were doing conventions, she would help set us up. And you know, it was when the industry was continuing to grow. And so she actually had a big hand in that. And when we had Jason Miller on the other day, I referenced the fact that Jason Miller was part of our signing that day.
Right.
Him and Joker Guyman and a few other guys. Cub? Who else made it out?
There was Cub, Lisa King, Gilbert Melendez.
That's right. Yeah. So we had our table. We were Tag Radio at the time. It was so cool.
cool.
Great to hear from you, Miss Rara.
Good to hear from you too. Yeah, I have a really great memory of you guys.
Yeah.
I remember your studio back in Orange County, out of the house.
Our kitchen, in other words.
Yeah. Your kitchen, yeah. So that's how old school. I'm throwing it back right now. I'm bringing it back.
She sure.
That's super cool.
And get this, I got her once on a bet. Me and Goes bet Chipotle all the time. That's no fun. Miss Rara and I had a bet. She lost, and she had to do the show in a bikini, and she showed up and did it, man.
Really?
Yeah. She's money.
Wow.
She's cool.
I showed up in a
Sweet.
tap-out bikini.
Wow.
We need to do more bikini bets, right? Not you and I, but
not us.
right.
Yeah.
But some of
I'm
the future females that come through. Hey, you want to bet? That's cool. So you're gonna come out, huh?
I'm gonna come out. I when Goes hit me up and about your guys' 10-year anniversary, I had, quite a few flashbacks of, my time that I had in the MMA industry, and also, I thought of you guys and how far you guys have come. We were Tag Radio back then, and we had our Tag Radio junkies, that were there constantly every day. This is way before, podcasts, we're so huge now, and, I was really reflecting on your guys' success, and I wanted to be there to celebrate with you guys. I'm very proud of you. You guys have come a long way.
Thank you
so much.
It means
That's
a lot
cool.
that you'll be out here. And it'll be really hot around that time, so bring that bikini.
All right, well, I want to hit the gym. I'm going to try to look cute. But I will be there. And I'm so excited to see you guys and everybody else that will be there. We're going to have a really good time. I'm looking forward to all the festivities.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Alvarado. Thanks for the time.
I might
You're
have
welcome.
to.
All right, take care.
I might have
See
to
ya.
cancel
Thank
my
you.
my travel plans. What I was gonna say. What I was gonna say is,
There's a picture of Miss Rara in the bikini doing our show.
I mean, anytime when you hear a woman with a sexy voice say, "Hi, do you remember me?" I'm like,
And then the blast from the past, like, whoa, okay, hold on a second here. I thought they were coming after me for child support or something when I heard it that way. All right, here we go. We're going to take a break. It's the MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93, and we have Las Vegas-based attorney Rob Cardenas here in studio with us, co-hosting. If you want to get in the queue, because after the Jason B segment, where he recaps Tough 25 Episode 3, we will take some calls. So again, 866-522-2846. Stay close.
I guess I forgot to set my clock. Overslept, almost lost the job.
Yeah.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right. B-A, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goes.
Pump it, Danny.
He's got the jams going today, eh?
Man.
DJ Danny over
It's
here.
good right here.
Can't stop laughing at Rob going, I think maybe that tournament may be canceled.
Yeah, I may be able to catch a late flight. So De La Soul's going to be in town, we're hearing, in Vegas. And it's a Life is Beautiful tournament? Or tournament.
Yeah, Life is Beautiful,
Festival.
Sunday, September 24th, and which will be great because they're not the headliner on Sunday, which is good because it won't be too crowded, won't be too packed, and they're awesome, man. They're like, that just takes me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the best.
Well, we saw them as part of the, what was it called? Kings of Rap?
Kings
of
of
the
the Mic.
Mic.
Yeah.
And they may have been one of the better ones.
Well, that was.
Oh, Rob, by the way, that was a concert that you attended, and you had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I did, and I missed the one group that I intended on seeing. I ate a little too much.
Yeah, no, that was a good time, and so we may take you up on that. I don't know. That actually happens to be our birthdays are 3 days apart, and that is right in between our birthdays.
Oh, perfect. So it's your birthday.
But that accomplishes
celebrate your
the
birthday.
reverse of what you were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, well, how do you know that wasn't what I came here to execute?
That's what it was, man.
So I was like, how about this and that? But in return, Moneybags over here is taking us.
No, because he knows I'm a one-upper. I always got a one-up. I'm kidding.
But we will get this Rams 49ers thing done at some point, all right? So I don't know if we're just putting it on a hold or putting it on ice or the Billy Idol night.
Yeah, we'll do something. But I just want you guys to know that my inability or unavailability to do a lot of the social things that you guys ask me to do isn't that I don't love and respect you guys. It's just I'm a busy family guy. But like I said off air, like I truly love and appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys have been the one constant and consistent in in all of this MMA experience for me. And when I got out of the business and I look around and again, like I said off air, you see all these. I realize all these superficial relationships existed, but you guys were always cool to me when you didn't have to be.
Thank you.
So, and I appreciate that.
We appreciate the relationship with you as well.
Thank you very much.
You've been great for us. You've always supported us, and always been there for not just us but our listeners.
Yep.
Quick shout out to Enrique Lopez. He listens to us Goes as he works for the gas company. So as he's tending the meters and doing about a 15-mile run throughout his week, he listens to our 2-hour show. Yeah, so Enrique Lopez reached out to me. Excuse me?
I had a lot of questions for him.
Oh, yeah?
Dog questions. Those guys get bit a lot, don't they?
Oh, that'd be a good one, yeah. Call in sometime, Enrique Lopez. He reached out to me via the Junkie Radio Facebook. And we'll do this one last call, and we'll turn it over to Jason B. It's Marco from Waco, Texas.
Damon over here.
No. What's up, Marco?
No
¿Y tú qué quieres?
Marco from Waco. May the force be with you. Oh, wait. You guys don't spell it. Hey, I want to hear you guys talking about music festival. This is one called the Fire Festival on a tropical island. Ja Rule sponsored, man. You want to check that out, man.
Where is it?
That sounds great.
Yeah, you know what happened with that Ja Rule festival?
Oh, Ja Rule.
They're getting freaking sued because the whole thing was a sham. They asked for $50,000 for this cruise. Get up there, live in mansion, and it turned out to be a disaster.
Wow.
Rob Kavita should know what about it. Yeah, it's all over the freaking internet, man. The Fire Festival with Ja Rule.
Yeah, Rob, you put on a lot
Care
of
to comment on that, Rob?
I'm so glad you guys said Ja Rule because I was trying to figure out what it No, I don't put on any music festivals.
Oh, I see.
I like to attend them.
Yeah. In Austin, there's one. Somebody asked me the other day, what's the one in Austin called? Is it SWX? Is that what it's called, Marco?
South by Southwest, right?
What?
Yep.
Yes.
There you go, Goes.
What is it?
South by Southwest.
Yeah.
South by Southwest. Okay.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's all over the city, too. Hey, real quick, man, MMA related. Yesterday we got Mr. Nate Diaz on the Helwani show, and a couple of cool nuggets came out of it. First of all, he's still going to get paid. And he's really he says he's going to sit out unless they give him the right offer. But the second one is that he accepted the fight with Tony Ferguson for July before he rejected it. So what are we to think about Mr. Nate Diaz sponsoring all sorts of weed and being a cool mofo getting paid? We're going to let you guys catch that tomorrow.
Okay, see you, Marco. Jason?
Marco's my favorite, by the way. I love that guy. He brings me energy. With what he's talking about with Nate Diaz, the one thing I took from that interview is Nate Diaz is like, this game's about money. Like, if you want to fight, I'll fight you in the front yard. That's the Diaz's style. He's like, but if you're going to get in the cage and fight people, it's about money. Well, my thing is here. He said he doesn't want to fight Tony Ferguson, and they had him set up for 213, which is already a stacked card because news came out yesterday. But he said he doesn't want to do Connor's dirty work. Well, why don't you fight Tony? And if you want that money fight, then, and he already said he beat up Connor twice in his opinion, then why don't you try to beat Tony? Then you get a title shot. And if you're confident that you're going to beat McGregor for a third time in his mind, then why aren't you beating Ferguson, then you get a shot against McGregor? And if he wants that money fight, well, isn't Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor 3 going to be one of the biggest fights and a big payday for him?
Yeah.
That's my thing with it. He says he doesn't want to do McGregor's dirty work. Well, if you want to put yourself in that position for a money fight, grab it, take it. Like, Tony, if you beat Tony Ferguson, there's no doubt you're the number one contender. So, I mean, I understand what he's saying, but in my opinion, like, go out and get it. Like, get that money fight if you want.
I think he's already done the dirty work, to be honest with you. And this goes back
Nate?
to what. Yeah, I mean, this goes back to. I love the Diaz brothers, man. I love their style. I love their brashness. And they deserve to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And he deserves to get paid. And he's put in his time. If I would imagine if the money was right, he would fight Tony. If the money was right for him, he would fight Tony.
Well, it must have been somewhat right because he did sign.
Right. But then for him to reconsider and step away from it, it wasn't enough. Mm-hmm. And look, he has gone through tons of wars, 2 huge fights with McGregor. I think that is the fight to be made. I agree with you. But I think he deserves to get paid a lot because he's done a lot and he deserves it. I mean, those guys are amazing to me. Going back to what I said about Edgar, the Diaz brothers are 2 dudes I will always cheer for. Like, mm-hmm. I just love them. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I mean, many directions we can go in here, but as far I can appreciate that. I'm not going to do McGregor's dirty work because people feel like McGregor sits back and lets mm-hmm. others forge his path. Mm-hmm. And for example, Chad had to fight Frankie. We wanted McGregor to fight both of them.
Yes.
Right. And one knocked the other one out, was promised a shot, and then along the way, he never got it anyway. So as a lot of the tougher competition, the ones that would challenge his skill set, were starting to basically become future opponents, they pretty much eliminated each other. And, to that I've said, regardless, he did face both champions and waxed them both. Mm-hmm. That's why I have tremendous amount of respect. But it's the road to the championship that was, I think there was some assistance there.
Oh,
kind of like, yeah, come over here, come to the front of the line, we'll let you in, But once he was in, I mean, he was the star. He was amazing. As far as what Nate's saying, he did sign, so they must have got close to the number, and I'm wondering if they're going to circle back and get closer to that number, if that's just his way of posturing, to get a little bit more money. You brought up a fight that got signed, which appears to be signed as Valentina and Amanda. Is that what you're talking about, or something else?
No, there was a bunch of fights that they announced for 213 yesterday.
Which ones?
Lawler Cerrone.
That one's been official or that one's been in the works for a while.
It's been in the works, but they've announced this officially.
Yeah.
Cerrone and Lawler, that's been in the works. People kind of knew about it, but officially, Anthony Pettis and Jim Miller got announced for 213.
Yeah, but we're talking about the main event, the main and co-main stuff.
The main event for that one is Dillashaw Garbrandt, and the co is in the works for Valentina versus Amanda.
Right.
But
so the Cody Dillashaw, same thing. Those have already been on ice. We kind of knew that was happening, mm-hmm. but what we heard was there was still a strong main event coming. Now Diaz and Ferguson would qualify.
Yeah.
But now apparently it's not going to happen, and now all of a sudden Nunes and Shevchenko might happen. So Nunes and Shevchenko, along with Cody and TJ, that's not bad. Along with Cerrone and
that's good.
Right, but they still need to fatten it up because this right here is better than 213 so far.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Be better than a lot of cards as well.
This?
That's an insane.
Right, but there's no reason to be because this is International Fight Week. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like the fans are expecting something, and there'll be a letdown. And in fact, I bet you the UFC feels the same way. Like 213 has to top this card.
Okay.
And before, let me interject something about that whole the contract was signed, and I will make a comment on a conversation I had with a high-level executive of a major promotion years ago that the real negotiations begin after the contract is signed. And because the fighter at that point does have some leverage, okay? And rightfully so. And so when they're,
because it's been made public.
It's made public.
Okay.
The card is being built. He can look at it and go, well, if that deal was struck, maybe we can negotiate some other things. Because, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily the right approach, but I've always been a fighter advocate, and I believe these guys should get paid a lot more than they do.
Some of them. A lot of them think they should get paid more than they should, but they don't. They shouldn't.
Agreed. I agree with your qualification of that. But I've always been a fighter advocate in that sense. So this could be just I wouldn't say that the fight isn't going to happen. It's just it might just have to, additional things have to get thrown on the table. So
as for Nate saying he's 2-0 against McGregor, I know he was in that second fight. And he had a chance, and that's where he blew it.
Yeah.
Because if he beat him on 10 days, regardless of the fact that he had Dylan Dennis imported and he worked on his takedown defense and his submission grappling game, there's no way he closed the gap on Nate Diaz and what he was doing. Mm-hmm. I just believe Nate Diaz probably thought, I beat him on 10 days, I can beat him again. If he would have had the camp that he did and looked as good as he did for when he fought Michael Johnson, he would have beaten McGregor, and then he would have controlled everything. Nate Diaz would have been possibly the biggest star in the UFC, and that's where I'm sorry he fucked up.
Right.
He had his chance right there. He could have done so much with that.
He's not 2-0, but in my opinion, he's also not 1-1 because he finished McGregor. He's a little bit higher than McGregor for me.
Right, but McGregor's still calling the shots, even though it's 1-1 and one guy finished the other.
But
McGregor's the one.
There should be one guy that really wants to get that back, and I feel like that should be Conor. There should be something in Conor going, man, that guy finished me though. We both want to fight, but that guy put me away.
Yeah, and I don't know because even in the second fight, he was getting his ass whooped too in that second fight.
I mean, he knocked him down a few times. They are 1-1. I understand what you're saying goes about the finish, but Conor can also say, well, I am a featherweight who moved to lightweight to fight at welterweight, so mission accomplished. I'm pretty sure. Plus, Conor then went on to beat the actual champion of the division, which is Eddie Alvarez, and that's where Nate messed up, because if Nate would have won that, the way the UFC caters to the Diaz brothers, they probably would have given him Eddie, and if he beats Eddie, he's the world champ. Yeah. He's dictating everything, you know what I mean? So that one has to sting him a little bit. But he has made a lot of money. Congrats on him, and he's incredibly popular, man. His numbers just are blown through the roof. Now, let's talk about Tough 25. Yesterday was episode 3 between Team Garbrandt and Team Dillashaw. Team Dillashaw has a 2-0 lead going into a matchup on yesterday's show that had Jesse JT Money Taylor, and he faced Mehdi Baghdad. Now, both of them, if you know, this is the redemption season, so every single fighter on the show has been a part of the Ultimate Fighter in one way or another. There's only one fighter that's a current member of the UFC stable who decided to go into the show, and that's James Krause. He'll be fighting next week. But this week was Baghdad versus JT Money Taylor. Take it from here, Jason B.
I finally feel. Is Danny supposed to hit the intro? Danny, hit the intro.
Trying. Hold on. I had it already. It stalled out on me.
Go ahead.
We'll do it next time. Okay. Maybe next time, Danny.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I feel like when the... Here we go. I feel like...
All right, here we go. It's Jason B with the recap.
I feel like every time the Ultimate Fighter starts, every fan is kind of... They're not sure how the season will go, so they don't invest themselves a lot in it. But after this episode, I feel like I'm finally fully invested in this season. we all know JT Money's story. Made it to the finals of season 7, I believe, and got replaced in the finale because of action. So I feel like with him, I'm really invested in this story. Baghdad, I believe he beat Artem Lobov in his season of Tough 22, I believe, and kickboxer. Like Dana White said, outstanding kickboxer, and Jesse Taylor was a wrestler. Not a lot like we've seen in the past weeks with TJ and Cody. We usually see them bickering at each other to start the episode. Episode 1 and 2 usually was focused around that. So I'm kind of glad we got a little bit away from that.
I agree.
We focused more on the fighters because the season is redemption. So let's focus on the story and let's get invested in them. Because then when it comes along, whoever wins this, we're really invested in them. So I like how they focus more on that. But we heard their stories. We finally got to the fight. And it just felt like Jesse Taylor right off the bat. As soon as the ref said, let's go, let's get it on, he came out like a bat out of hell. Double leg takedown, put Baghdad against the cage, scooped him up, put him down on the mat, and just smothered him. Punches, just laying on him. Couldn't get full mount, but half guard, switching around. Baghdad was trying to roll on his back. Jesse was looking for the choke and just smothered him. First round was over. Clearly Jesse Taylor's round. No one's going to argue that. Baghdad came out, stuffed a takedown from Jesse Taylor, and I'm going, oh, okay. Maybe Baghdad might keep this on the feet. Maybe Jesse's tiring a little bit. Clipped him with a left. I don't know if it was Jesse Taylor going for a takedown at the same time or he really clipped him. It kind of looked like Jesse Taylor was kind of going for a takedown. It kind of connected when he was going down, but eventually did get the takedown and just put Baghdad on his back and just smothered him. Didn't get the finish, so he obviously didn't get that pocket change of $5,000. But Jesse Taylor, man, if you want to stick to the game plan, he did. And Baghdad, I mean, you kind of knew this was Taylor's objective coming out, but he just couldn't get up from the mat. He did a couple times, but Taylor just grabs on, put him down to the mat. And, I mean, man, I know Cody Garbrandt after was like, oh, if you hit Jesse Taylor in the chin, you're going to knock him out. But, I mean, he's a big, strong guy. So if he can get a hold of you, man, you're in for a long 10 minutes.
Yeah, I would say that great editing by them. For one, we didn't get another Dillashaw Garbrandt back and forth. It was starting to get a little old, but I do want to see more of it because it's entertaining to me. You know, I still want to see how Ludwig factors into this and Faber, but they more took back a backseat and they focused on the fighters. Dana White stated that there's probably no bigger redemption story than Jesse Taylor because he was there. He was supposed to be in the finale. Instead, he's kicking windows out of limos, and he got the axe right there. On Mehdi Baghdad's side, you talked about Artem. He beat Artem, and he lost to Julian Erosa.
Yes.
So he had a little bit of success, but eventually he got phased out of anything that mattered. He did have a run with the UFC, but now they're back in the house. So great recap there. You nailed it as far as the first round and second round. It's funny because a lot of people don't like to see grappling. They prefer striking. But he made it fun because he was always advancing positions. Oh, going back to the magic of editing, how about them working combos? TJ was saying, hey, give me a 1-2. Give me a 1-2-3-4, So they're doing all this in the warm-up. And Jesse Taylor, man, he barely even threw like a phantom jab and then went in for the takedown. But I love that commitment to it. He went in there and he was advancing his position, going for submissions, ground and pound. I really enjoyed it. And I think more fans would enjoy grappling if people grappled like him, like Joe Lazon, like Damian Maia, where there's just an advancement, a domination. Then it would, I think that's just a notice to all grapplers out there.
Yeah.
Great on him to put that kind of pressure on Mehdi Baghdad.
Because he didn't get the finish, but he's always looking for it.
He was trying
so
for it,
that's one thing that makes it interesting. And then we got just a tad sneak peek of Cody and TJ bickering. Oh, I'm going to put you away with the right hand,
right.
Cody, because TJ said, I have a higher fighting IQ than you. A little bit of that. But the next matchup is Jim Krause, the guy you mentioned, who is in the UFC, and he's 23-7. So he has a lot of experience at a top level versus Johnny Nunez. And he's 6-1, and he filled in for Hector, who missed
Urbina,
weight.
yeah.
Yep, in episode 1. So he slides right in 3 episodes later. He has his fight, man. So it's going to be a tough matchup for Johnny just because James Krause, man, he so much experience.
Towered over him, length, experience.
Yeah. So something inside me tells me that Johnny Nunez may pull off the upset. but I have to go with James Krause just because I believe experience is – there's nothing that can make up for that. So I believe James Krause is going to get the victory next week. But I'm hoping Team Cody gets somewhat of momentum. So I'm kind of pulling for John Nunez because I like that kind of competition. Yeah, because, I mean, not only that is Cody's top 2 picks axed out of the competition. So that's kind of like, oh, shit, like, what are we going to do here? So I'm really hoping Johnny Nunez can give that team life because they need an injection of it.
He's getting flustered now.
Yes.
That's the problem. All the coaches are getting flustered on that side, and it's not looking too well. And I think the other team is capitalizing on that.
Hard work, dedication.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, TJ. You can tell, man, those walls are thin. And
winning is contagious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's good on TJ's team. The one thing about Jesse, though, is he looked great. And, George, you hit it right on the head. We've known him to take guys down and do what he did. But now he's advancing position. He's a little bit more brutal in his attack. However, I don't know if you want to do that every fight. He is going to have to finish guys.
Well, here's one important thing, though. I will say this. We have to remember is, for one, you can't be taking a cut or they'll possibly rule you out of another fight. And so to be able to get in there, dominate, and he was going for the finish. He didn't get it. So the 5,000, of course, it would make a difference. He's a father of 2. Definitely needs that kind of dough. But the bigger picture is staying healthy. So I think not taking any damage and just getting out of there, because every single person on the season is pretty good.
Yeah.
We're not trying to find the next star. They're all pretty established, not stars, but established veterans. So every fight's going to be pretty tough. So I get why his style might work, but Goes is right about this. Getting out or finishing up and getting out and getting the promoter to be excited about you being the ultimate fighter for that season. Yes, show us a little bit more other than that, because he's the type of guy where if he loses 2, he's out. You know what I mean?
True.
Guys that are exciting, they could lose 4 and they still may get one more shot. All right, we're going to take this quick break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Jason B's not done yet because I do want to talk a little bit more about the episode, and then I want to run a crazy thought by you guys as I was watching JT Money Taylor and his commitment to wrestling. We'll be right back. Stay close.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Saturday is Derby Day on SiriusXM Rush 93. Coverage of the 143rd Kentucky Derby starts Saturday morning at 10 Eastern with Dave Johnson and Down the Stretch. Then on Saturday afternoon at 5, we will bring you Westwood One's coverage of the Kentucky Derby. It's all on SiriusXM Rush Channel 93 and on the SiriusXM app. Jason B., how about this? Or all of you, actually. When Jesse committed to the takedown like that, in a smaller cage, if he were to fight Conor McGregor like that, could he have beaten him? Now, I'm going to base this off Conor McGregor and what he's shown you on sub-defense prior to maybe the last 6 months, because he hasn't really shown us how much he's progressed with Dylan Dennis. And the one thing that guy can do is pick up skills, that's for sure. But the way Nate Diaz was able to take him down and submit him, who by the way, is got amazing jiu-jitsu, you know. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, wow, yes. He could have beaten a lot of strikers with that attack, strikers that don't know how to defend themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, his wrestling is so good. I don't feel like Baghdad was maybe prepared for, as he should have been, for the takedown, because, I mean, you knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Like, if that's one thing you should know that Jesse Taylor was going to do, well, he's going to take you down. He's not going to strike with you. But
that's what Chael did to Anderson.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wish I would have seen more of that, like out of guys like Rashad Evans, guys like, you know, Gray Maynard.
Yeah.
There's these guys that just developed hands, and I get it. The hands set up the takedowns. But, I mean, there's wrestlers like Ben Askren and Chael Sonnen and Jesse Taylor that just commit to the takedown and just take the life out of you, you know. Baghdad got out of there, but you could tell as he was walking back, was like, man, I can't let that happen to me again.
Yeah.
And I wish more wrestlers would do that.
And it's weird because he made the statement that he trained with him and he could see those takedowns coming a mile away. He didn't even react until like he was almost on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Jesse looked great.
He did.
Yeah, he looked really good.
All right. Well, I had a feeling that maybe you guys might co-sign a little bit. Gun to the head, I'm pretty sure we're all saying Conor McGregor, but the way he did it,
do that, George.
really?
Gun to the head, I might
JT Taylor?
That's a crazy attack to stop.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right. Quick break here. Sports update, and then we'll come back. We are going to talk to Josh Gross, possibly one of the Mount Rushmores. I think he's on my Mount Rushmore of MMA media. We'll talk to him. And we just added Bellator lightweight champion Michael Chandler. Goes and Danny are hating me right about now, but Michael Chandler will join us in about 30 minutes. You're listening to MMAjunkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. Rob Cardenas in the house.
I'm gonna keep on the run. I'm gonna have me some fun. It cost me my very last dime. If I wind up broke, well, I'll always remember that I had a swing in time. I'm gonna give it everything I've got. Ladies, please let the dice stay hot. Let me shoot a 7 with every
What do you guys like?
Viva Las Vegas. Viva.
Cinco de Mayo.
That's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number. 3. Somewhere in this hip-hop soul community was born 3, they stub at me, and that's a magic number.
What does it all mean?
Difficult preaching is posturing pleasure. Pleasure in preaching starts in the heart. Something that stimulates the music in a measure. Measure in the music breaks it 3 parts. Casually see but don't do like the soul. Cause seeing and doing are actions for monkeys. Doing hip-hop hustle, no rock and roll. Unless your name's Brewster, cause Brewster's a punk. Parents let go cause it's magic in the air. Criticizing rap cause you're out of order. Stop looking, listen to the praise and Fred Astaire's. And don't get offended while Mace Dosey does your daughter. A tri-camera roll system is now set. Fly around the store under Daisy Productions. It stands for the inner sound, y'all, in your Quebec. That the action's not a trick, but show me a function. Everybody wants to.
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We got Las Vegas-based attorney Rob Cardenas here in studio with us, and of course Jason B, the intern, hanging out as well. Quick shout out to Roger Ingram. He enjoys our full content, not just the show goes, the website. He listens to us via SiriusXM, so shout out to Roger Ingram. Want to introduce now our first guest of the day, Josh Gross. He, along with Jeff Sherwood, they co-host The Outsiders. Episode 26 dropped on May 2nd, this past Tuesday. Every episode drops on Tuesday. And you can check them out on patreon.com/outsiders. Joining us now is Josh Gross. What's up, Josh? How you doing?
Hey, George. How are you? I'm doing great.
Good, man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. I got Goes with me, Rob and Jason, rounding out the panel here. And really enjoyed this last episode with you and Jeff, just, talking like you guys do, man. Guys that cover the sport for so long, sharing your opinions. And I'm 1 hour in. I got 30 minutes to go. Having a great time.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we have fun swapping some stories. We shared some good ones last week, so thank you for listening, and all the people who signed up on Patreon. I'm really grateful for that.
That, and he's a Man U fan. He's a big soccer fan. So
I thought he was a Chelsea fan.
Oh Man U's all right, but Juventus, baby.
Juventus. Yeah, sorry. Well, I know he's a soccer fan.
I'm a Juventus supporter.
You must be happy then.
Yeah.
We're doing all right. Yeah, I pledged my allegiance. I think I put it on Twitter like in 2009. I tweeted like I pledged my allegiance to Juventus, and then I'm good. I commit to a team. I'm there for them.
Did you have an EPL team? Did you establish an EPL team?
No. I decided not to take an EPL team. It was the hot thing to do. Everybody wanted to do it. I kind of looked at the squads, and I've always preferred the Italian style of football, and the Italian Serie A was a little bit down. I was like, you know what? I'm down with Juventus. I'm going to pick Juventus. So far, it's been fun.
All right. Well, I goofed that one then. I thought we were just going to throw a couple fist bumps because they have a big game today in the semifinals of the Europa League. But, hey,
much respect. You make the Champions League next year, you can play Juventus.
That's right. All right. Much respect to Juventus. Not only are they getting it down on the field goes, those guys are financially beasts. I mean, they're literally – well, for one, how about the heist they did with us? Getting Paul Pogba for such a small fee, almost free, we'll say, and then selling him back for $100 million. Mm-hmm. So that was amazing. But there's been a few others that they've done that with. And even though the roster, takes a hit like that, look at them on the verge of possibly a Champions League final. That's amazing.
Pretty great.
Yeah. All right, so Josh, here's what I wanted to ask you. This is something we've been discussing a lot on the show. Money fights versus number one contender fights. The hardcores love to see a run to the title, where you fight the number 40 guy, and then you get the number 20 guy, and then you break the top 10, the number 5, the number 2, and then maybe now you say you have a 5-fight win streak, you want the champ. It's fun. It's fun to cover it that way. But Zuffa and now WME-IMG has just kind of gone the route of the money routes. Even the champions want to fight different divisions and other established stars. Is this just something of the last few years, or because you've covered the sport for so long, is this just kind of like a cycle that they'll go through where you've seen it, and things will shake out and it will become back to what it was where, contenders rose to the top and then earned their title shots?
Look, I think as much as we've come to accept that MMA is not a typical sport, structured like pro wrestling in a lot of ways in the business end, and much of the focus around the sport is around the UFC and their pay-per-view model. And pay-per-view model, like you need to drive eyeballs to that, have people commit to spend their $60 to make some cash. Of course, it's always been about the attraction. The UFC brought in Tank Abbott at UFC 40. You remember, they had him walk down the ramp. The only reason they did that, and Joe Silva wasn't even aware that they were going to do that, was because he was an attraction. So this is not a new idea. I think something is new, though, in the era of fighters positioning themselves for fights that they feel like is solely about making that dime, making the entertainment. I feel like you can build big, appealing fights that do well through the sports model. We've seen it regularly. We've seen fighters rise through the ranks, become champions, become superstars. McGregor has kind of broken the mold on that. And, he really has ushered in this era in mixed martial arts, especially the UFC, where all fighters feel like now they have to clamor for those kinds of contests. Otherwise, they're missing the boat financially, and they're going to lose out potentially on big paydays. And I think it's somewhat frustrating to watch that unfold because certain divisions seem to have, over the last few years, really been built up in impressive ways, and they were totally lined up for great fights, great contender matches, champions really being tested, and it just seems to have been, just kind of not crushed, but really put to the side. And to me, that's a disappointment because I don't think they're mutually exclusive things. I think you can build up really great fights with really awesome fighters who deserve to be in those bouts and also make them sellable. I don't think that those things are totally independent of one another. I don't think you have to manufacture a money fight because there was no money fight through the regular sort of sports structure that Joe Silva has sort of put in place all those years. At least that's what I believe.
A lot of pro wrestlers can grab the mic and give a promo, but a lot of them work at it. So when you hear about Ohio Valley Wrestling and a lot of the smaller wrestling leagues, not only are they going in there and, Al Snow and D'Lo Brown, those other fighters that are wrestlers that you hear about on WWE goes, I think you know this, but they're actually developing a lot of these younger wrestlers. And they commit a certain portion of their time to the performance inside the ring, but another thing is their persona and how to deliver these promos. So, Josh, my question to you is, with the UFC having this new campus and they have, the ability to tape your practices, and then they have the cryotherapy, and they're helping all these athletes in certain ways become better athletes, could they also have classroom or some sort of instruction on how fighters can present themselves when they're not fighting? So before the fight, right after the fight, and in any other time they have the public's attention.
They have done that. I mean, they've put certain fighters through media training and given them tips and sort of tried to push them when they weren't so comfortable in front of the cameras. I think that's fine, and to me that's understandable, and you want to make these guys, you want to have their personalities, whatever personality they have, you want them to come to the forefront. What I don't want to see is sort of this, work 101 or, the idea of selling a work or a shoot or what. I don't need to see a sport full of Chael Sonnets. Mm-hmm. Okay, I do not need to see that. To me, that's really distracting and wouldn't help anybody. It just comes off as totally contrived and fake, and I don't want that. To me, mixed martial arts is real. It is a sport. When these people are competing, I get it. Some people like their oversized personality or their acting. I want to know who the man or woman in the cage is fighting. To me, that's interesting. I don't need to see them playing characters. So maybe I come from it a little different perspective, and I can be a little hardline on that. I think sometimes it gets lost when you have these people playing parts or not being themselves. And again, Muhammad Ali had that showmanship, right? And he had that big persona, but it just seemed to come from him naturally. And, I don't need to see guys and ladies start to play characters. That I think the sport takes a step back. It suffers on a legitimacy front in some ways if that becomes the normal course of business.
That's a good point. I definitely don't want to have a bunch of Chael Sonnets one right after the other because there's 13 fights usually on a Saturday, and I definitely don't need to hear them stumbling through it because that's even worse than not offering anything. But you would agree, at least give me this, at least know who the hell you want to fight next, right?
Sure, have some sense of where you want your career to go in a larger way,
right? Yeah.
And if you don't have an opponent that you want to call out right away, tell the fans where you're going to go, what you're going to do, what you're going to accomplish. I think those are, big ideas that people gravitate towards. They really like. If you don't have an opponent in your mind that does those things for you, or you're not the kind of person that, some fighters just don't like calling out other fighters because They feel like, well, I'll defer to the UFC, or that's not my personality, it's not what I want to do. Some guys do it naturally, and it makes sense. I look at everything case by case, but if you're not going to be the person, George, who's saying, I want to take on this guy next, you can say, you know what, I don't care who I fight next as long as it elevates me to this spot. You got to give people an idea of where you're trying to get to in the next step. I think that's the important piece.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do it, too. You can say, hey, the UFC's going to Germany in November. My grandmother's German. I want to go out there and perform in front of, something like that. Or I've always wanted to fight in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, anything. If you don't want to call out an opponent, something. All right, Goes, what do you have for Josh Gross?
Josh, we recently saw a picture of Chuck Liddell where he looked to be in pretty good shape, and then we got the quote from John Hackelman that said, if the right opponent were out there, they would consider a comeback. As far as these legends, it wasn't that long ago that we saw Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock. When it comes to these type of guys, do you want to see that, or does that just need to go away and their time is up?
What's up, Goes? I wish you could have seen me as you just mentioned Chuck Liddell. I just started shaking my head no. Like, it was just like my initial reaction was no. God, no. You know what? This is not golf. And this is not a situation where you can put players out on a Champions Tour and they can still look really competitive and it can be entertaining. I don't want to see older veterans who have already taken a lot of punishment over the course of their careers be inflicted with more of that, even if they're fighting their peers. I just have no interest in that. Part of it speaks to me because I want to know who the best fighter in the world is, and maybe they were the best fighter at some point, but they're not there anymore. And it really sort of goes to this idea, well, why are you watching? Is it just entertainment? Do you care about the people who are competing? Do you have any empathy for them? It's crazy to me that Chuck Liddell is in a position where he's got to be talking about a big money fight in a return. I hope it doesn't happen. Chuck, his best fighting days are long, long gone, and not everybody's the same. You mentioned the Royce Gracie. The Gracies, they've been fighting, and they have this reputation. And Elio Gracie was fighting in his 50s, and, that's kind of their history. And in some ways, you can understand that. Also, Royce's style is not like a big bruiser like Chuck, but Chuck was relying on countering and timing and takedown defense. I just don't need to see Chuck in a situation where he's fighting someone of his age, his experience, or fighting a younger guy, just, get hurt. I think that would be really unfortunate. And so for me, I don't want to see it. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see a Masters division in MMA. At a certain point, your career's done, and it's a very difficult thing for fighters to accept a lot of the times. I think you're seeing that. And especially you're seeing that with some of the older generation fighters who feel like, you know what, I was pretty damn great, and I just didn't fight at a time where the money is where it is now, and I have to get my piece. That's just a dangerous formula, and I hope we don't see too much of it.
For the longest time, whenever people bring up the Diaz brothers, it was almost like a brand that comes with them, right? They were both very similar in what they wanted, that sort of things. But for me, I feel like they're starting to drift apart. Not as brothers, but just what they want. You see Nick Diaz, you rarely see pictures of him in the gym. It's all partying and doing this.
Right.
Nate Diaz doesn't really know what he wants. Josh, what would you like to see the Diaz brothers do? Who would you like to see Nate fight, and who would you like to see Nick fight? Somebody that makes sense for us.
Sure. I think Nate's extremely interesting, and the way that he's being positioned and the sort of things that he's expressing at this stage of his career. Really, you talk about a guy with a huge persona, and people know exactly what he's about and where he's coming from, and they like him, but none of it's fake. And that, to me, like, he doesn't play a character. He's who he is, and I really appreciate that. He's also a hell of a fighter. So, to me, the fight that makes sense, even though he's now sort of dismissing it, I don't need the guy, is Conor McGregor, obviously. I just think he's posturing and positioning himself in certain ways that is trying to really make the most of whatever leverage he has at this point. Whatever money-making potential he has, he's trying to leverage it as much as possible. And you're like, well, wait, he's not fighting. But that's the whole point. He's sitting out. He knows that the number of draws that the UFC has is limited. He knows he's among that group, and that he's trying to really sort of exercise and flex that muscle, I think, is interesting. Nothing is – he didn't just show up on Ariel Helwani's show. That's a game plan by him and his people to really sort of get his messaging out in certain ways to certain audiences at certain times. And that shows a real vision on his end. McGregor makes a lot of sense. I think they could sell a fight with Tony Ferguson. That makes sense. Had Eddie Alvarez beaten his last opponent and not lost the title, I think that fight would have made a lot of sense. limited bouts though, and I like to see him at 55. I think that's where he's at his best.
Yes,
but it's really got to be worth his while, and I think those are the fights, especially McGregor, a trilogy with McGregor. But again, if McGregor gets this Mayweather thing and makes $70-80 million, whatever he's going to make, he's going to go back to MMA, to the UFC, and fight for $15 million, where there's real danger. I mean, I'm not saying that Floyd isn't real danger, but that's like sort of almost written in stone of what's going to happen. Now he's going to come back and fight for a lot less money in the UFC and risk his legacy. I don't know what he's going to do, and so it's gotten to the point where you have like McGregor and Diaz, these guys kind of holding the UFC over a barrel a little bit. And I think Diaz is recognizing that. As for Nick, I think Nick's just enjoying partying, and he's always enjoyed partying. It's something I think people are sort of surprised to learn about him. He likes to get out into the clubs and have a good time, and he doesn't need to fight. I mean, I take him at face value, and what he and his brother have always said is they don't like this. They don't like fighting. I think they grew up fighting, and they realize what it really is and what the game has turned into. And they always talked about the sport in different ways, and I take them at their word. I think if Nick never had to fight again, he wouldn't. If he has to come back, I don't want to see him fight Anderson Silva. I'd like to see him fight at 170 pounds. To me, the one fight that makes a lot of sense is Robbie Lawler.
Yes.
I would love to see that fight.
Man, I wanted that one bad too. Hey Josh, since you've covered these guys for about 15 years, what were they like early on? Were they more like punks, we'll say, or were they just kids that were brashy but good kids? What were they like?
Yeah, I would not call them punks. I think they were really straightforward. They had their view of the world. They weren't afraid to share it. And that authenticity, I think, really connected with people. And so when you had a chance to interview them, especially Nick, I was around Nick a lot more than I was around Nate. I remember seeing Nate in Atlantic City around 2001 maybe or 2002. And I was talking to Nick, and Nick pointed to his brother and said, "You see my brother? He's going to be better than me. He's going to be the best." And, but Nate always kind of hung back in Nick's shadow a little bit. Until the last few years, and now he's really come out and become a draw and become someone I think that the fans really want to see fight, and that they're willing to talk about the guy and get excited about the guy. So I think more than anything, they're authentic, and they've learned a lot of lessons. They've always felt like they were fighting against the system. They always felt like they were not getting what they deserved, and I feel like all fighters can learn lessons from the way that they handle their careers. You're only really worth what you ask for, and then you're worth what someone's going to pay you. But someone's only going to pay you what you really ask for, if it's the right situation. So there's that dynamic there that they realized early, and I think have capitalized on. And they're unique characters in the sport, and they're great fighters. I mean, really great fighters, and that's what it comes down to. Is bottom line is they can talk all they want and be 209 and be all about pot. But if they weren't fighters, if they weren't people who went to war, then I don't think people would care as much. So that's more the baseline about what they're about.
Josh Gross can be followed on Twitter at @Yay_Yee. That's YAY_YEE. And he's the co-host of the Outsiders podcast. Episode 26 just dropped. You can check it on patreon.com/Outsiders. I'll hear you along with Jeff Sherwood, swapping stories and covering the sport of mixed martial arts. All right, just one more question and then a comment. Is Ali Aquinta slowly doing a little bit of what the Diaz brothers did early in their career? Like a lot of us, including myself, thought, what's he doing? He's shooting himself in the foot. But boy, we've gotten a lot of traction from anything Ali Aquinta related. A lot of shares, a lot of views. And I haven't noticed the UFC go out of their way to admonish him. If anything, they wished him happy birthday. But what do you think of this as someone who's, again, covered the sport a lot and watched a lot of these types of characters, come through? What is that?
I think it's getting harder for the UFC to bury people. Because the media and the attention around MMA has increased so much that if they went ahead and just buried Ali Aquinta, if he never fought again, or if they put him on an undercard or, whatever it was, that would become a big narrative and people would talk about it. I think he recognizes that maybe there's a little bit less of a price to pay than there was, but I don't think that's the reason why he talks. I'm interested in him. I think he's taken a lot of shots at the UFC, and I again, you sort of believe what he's saying in the way that he's saying it, you think it's authentic. He's not just sort of playing a game here. And so that really adds to the value and adds to the sense of, well, I need to pay attention to this guy, right? So Al's a good fighter, and he's a dangerous lightweight, and, he could probably beat a few people. He already has. But if he wasn't talking like this, I don't think that a lot of people would take notice of him. There's a lot of good lightweights, and there's a lot of good lightweights who can beat a lot of people. But, Michael Chiesa is a hell of a fighter, and some people like him, but he's not brash like Al seems to be, right? And people appreciate that brashness.
Yeah.
I think if the UFC's smart, they use these moments to their advantage, and they know that he's getting a lot more press, and you give him a fight, and you let him talk. Yesterday, I was at the Milken conference, the global conference, or maybe it was 2 days ago. Time's flying here. No, it was Tuesday. So this is Thursday. So it was 2 days ago. And I saw the commissioners of Major League Baseball, the NBA, Major League Soccer, and the NHL. They had a panel discussion Jim Gray hosted. And those guys all across the board said, we don't censor our athletes. They have an open voice. They can say what they want. There was a lot of questions about social media and Colin Kaepernick and these sorts of things. The UFC has never, ever been interested in letting their athletes have an open voice and speaking loudly. They've always reacted to it, and they've always had some sort of smart comment coming back. It's just been the way that they've operated. I think for them now to wish Al a happy birthday and maybe sort of let him speak his piece, but give him the space to do that, that's a lesson that they should have learned over the years, and hopefully we're seeing that now. I don't know what he's going to do. Because he seems to be really concerned about what fighting does to his health, and that he's not making enough to do that. And that's a difficult set of circumstances, because that's just the reality of what mixed martial arts is. And so maybe he just doesn't want to fight anymore, but I don't get that sense from him. I think he is a fighter, and I think he wants to do it. He just wants to be taken care of. It's an interesting tactic. Not a lot of fighters can get away with it. He seems to have been loud enough and brash enough and have a case, at least, to make for the public to appreciate it. You mentioned podcast and Jeff Sherwood. He's like Jeff's favorite fighter now. So that stuff works. That stuff works.
All right. The last thing is just want to let you know that Mother's Day is coming up. So Goes and I will be back in the LA area. So if you need a hug, your fellow Dodgers fan Goes will be around if you guys want to hug each other, because the Dodgers just are not off to a good start. I know that's got to be stinging you guys.
They're turning it around little by little, but nobody's off to a good start, so it's a good thing.
Look, one thing about baseball, man, it's a long season. And they're not out of it. The division's not that strong, so I think by the All-Star break we'll be all right.
Yeah, are they going to win the division?
I mean, why not? They win it every year, but that's not enough. People in LA aren't satisfied with that. I mean, 1988 was the last time I went to the World Series. That's not good enough.
How about you, Goes? Do you believe they can win it?
Just winning the division alone isn't, clawing to win the division isn't good enough anymore.
But Josh, be honest. You just saying that because you don't want me to hug you, or what?
I'll take a hug you whether the Dodgers doing great or not. So be the man.
All right. Thanks, Josh, for joining us on the show. Always appreciate your insight. And, folks, check out The Outsiders on Patreon with him and Jeff Sherwood. Show drops every Tuesday. Appreciate your time.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, as always.
All right, we'll see you. All right, folks, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll be talking to Michael Chandler, Bellator lightweight champion. He's got a fight coming up on that big card out there in New York. We'll also take some calls. 866-522-2846 is the number to call in so we can chat a little bit about our favorite sport here, MMA, mixed martial arts. We'll be right back. How low?
Hey, idiot. Yeah, you. Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
Rob told me one time, he goes, I'd love to have you guys over to the house, but just not right now. And I go, what kind of invitation is that? He's like, well, my dog just humps the hell out of everyone, and I'm trying to get it out of him. But he still does it?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, he is using his own paw.
He doesn't hump, dude. He jerks off.
Oh, my God.
What about his little nails?
Oh, man, I don't know. He
does that multiple times per day?
He's like, where were you on the night of April 17th?
I love how Rob's next to him. Like, yeah,
I'm drinking a beer. I'm drinking a beer. I'm like, I don't even pay it. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Can you get that
Buster.
up there?
Hey, can you send that to me?
Hilarious.
That's Buster, dude.
I really would not have believed you unless he showed me that.
Nah,
I thought he was humping a pillow or something. He's actually
What's
using
his name?
his
Buster.
own paw.
What's his last name? Nut?
I just felt like I needed to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, callers, don't disappoint. Make it quick. What's up, Dean from Georgia?
Gentlemen, how's it going? Rob, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I was pretty disturbing yesterday during Frank Trigg's call when Marco called and he was saying quick, like quarter miles apart, 35, 40, 50.
Down. If you're cited for between 21 and 30 miles per hour over the speed limit, which it sounds like you were, then it's going to be a big hit on your insurance. It could be like a several point mark on your insurance, which raises your rate, impacts your your insurance rates, which is bad. Goes on your driving record. Where if you spent a little bit of money to have a lawyer go handle it for you, you don't have to go down to the court. Physically, they could probably get it negotiated down to a parking ticket with no points, no traffic school. It's way worth your money, man. That would be my advice.
Brian in Boston, what's up?
Hey, guys. I was going to call in to talk about Tony Ferguson, but I know we're up against the clock, so I'm going to change gears and just hit with a quick comment. I saw that Justin Gagey signed with the UFC, and he's calling out Barboza. When I wake up every morning in my top thoughts, I'm like, okay, how do I not get hit in the head by Anthony Johnson, and how do I not get kicked in the leg by Barboza? And this guy woke up this morning and just called a guy out for a fight. So with that, I'll jump off and let you get some other callers.
Thank you. So he's taking the right approach because, for one, he can wrestle. So anytime there's a striker that he feels like he's not winning that aspect of the fight, he can wrestle. But think of it. He's coming in undefeated with a lot of pop. He's a world champion. He's got to get to it. If he can impress against Edson Barboza, who knows? He may be able to step into a world title fight. If you dick around a little bit too much, then that whole I was a champion in another organization just starts to go away. Oreo from Alberta, Canada. What's up?
Hey, guys. Hey, did you guys talk about the 125 division yet?
No, yeah. Announcement was made, but then it got put on hold for women's flyweight division. They were going to do a whole reality show over it, Tough 26. Then Dana White stated that it's not done yet. So as of right now, I don't know what the update is. I think it's going to get done. It just may not get done in time for possibly Tough 26, or perhaps they just needed to fine-tune a few things, and so they're maybe delaying, making that official. Oh, but to that, let me say this. I spoke with, I texted with Miesha Tate, and Miesha Tate told me she would not be interested in going to the house and competing, even though whoever comes out of that will be a world champion, much like what happened with Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas. Those were the two finalists. So I thought of her because I thought she always wanted to compete at 25, but it just goes to show you how committed she is to being retired.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea because you'll basically drain your two divisions. Like, I think Joanna what do you say to Joanna if she wants to be champ? Is she gonna vacate the title and go in the house, or like all the 135ers, a lot of 35ers fought at 125 like Kat Zingano? You're gonna have your top 5 contenders, going to a house, and your divisions are gonna be depleted. So I don't know why they're deciding to do that now.
Alexis Davis has expressed interest in 25, and so has Liz Carmouche.
see a Twitter
Jessica
reaction on our page.
Valerie Letourneau had, was somebody who wanted to go there, but now she's with Bellator. And a few 15ers said the cut is killing me, like Beck Rawlings. She expressed some interest as well. Thanks to everybody who called in. Now we got to focus our attention to Michael Chandler, and he's going to be fighting Brett Primus at Bellator NYC. They're calling it because he's on the main card. It's Bellator 180 on the undercard. He defends his title against Primus, who's 5-0 in the division. Welcome back, Michael Chandler. How you doing, Chandler?
I'm doing great. What's up, boys?
Not much, man. Thanks for joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio. I thought of something today, Chandler, and that's why I was chomping at the bit to talk to you. Has your university, the University of Missouri, the Tigers, do they appreciate the fact that Tyron Woodley is the UFC welterweight champion, Ben Askren, who's fighting very soon, is the ONE FC welterweight champion, and Michael Chandler, who's also fighting soon, is the Bellator lightweight champion? Has that been even talked about on that campus? Is some sort of a newsletter for alumni that's even brought this up? Because that's pretty legit, and I don't think I can think of another university that's been able to boast that.
No, I mean it is pretty cool, and I think unprecedented as far as universities go. But I mean, every now and then you hear something about it, or every now and then I'll get a call from the Columbia Tribune. It's Mizzou's in Columbia, Missouri. I'll get Columbia Tribune or one of the other publications there in Columbia, and they talk. When Ben's got a fight coming up, they'll call me and Tyron and kind of get a trifecta piece with all three of us in it, and we've done a couple of those, as well as Brian Smith, Coach Smith at Mizzou wrestling coach, will always tries to get us to come in, and they do it. They did a cool poster this past year called Tigers with Titles, and it had me, Ben, and Tyron, and Jaden Cox on it, because Jaden Cox just won the Olympic gold medal. So that's another guy to kind of throw in there. I mean, you could talk about these world titles. They're great. They're awesome. But when you talk about the sport of wrestling, a guy winning an Olympic gold medal is awesome as well. So Mizzou ain't playing games, and we're doing nothing but growing. Doing nothing but growing, and we're getting top talent every year, and had 3 guys in the finals this year. So it's awesome, man. And I tell you right now, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys with the success that I've had if I wasn't a Missouri Tiger.
There you go. Nice plug for the university there, too. ASU had a lot of fighters that fought in the UFC that I tracked. Purdue also had a lot, and so did Oklahoma State. But I don't remember 3 of them ever being champions at the same time. Like DC, he didn't overlap with Johnny Hendricks, for example. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Randy Couture obviously didn't overlap with neither Johnny nor DC. Those are 3 Oklahoma State Cowboys there. So, I was thinking about that, and I thought, I hopefully that university can use that to promote their wrestling program, or I don't know. And I know everybody's chasing Penn State nowadays, but I see you guys are always top 10.
Yeah, always in that top 10, top 7 range. So it's cool, man. And it's Coach Smith. I can't say enough about him, man. He took that program over. I think Tyron Woodley's freshman year, and there was probably 20 something guys on the team. He kicked about half of them off. They barely had a full roster because Coach Smith he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. He's a great dude, but he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. If you're not getting it done on the mats, you're not getting it done in the classroom, you're not going to be a Missouri Tiger. And that's really the culture that he created. And now you see we're getting guys who want to wrestle now. We're getting he used to have to go out and just recruit like crazy. But he still recruits really hard. But now guys are kids are growing up with the dream of wrestling at Mizzou, just like they had a dream of wrestling at Oklahoma State, Iowa, Penn State. So it's awesome, man.
And Chandler, I mean, how good of a student were you? Can you share your GPA or any accomplishments that you did, on the education side?
Man, I was so smart, just so smart in the classroom. I'm joking. I mean, I was good. I worked hard,
average?
I was an average of like a 3.6.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
Which is actually...
That's legit.
That's great.
It's actually pretty good. Wait, hold on. No, not 3.6. A little bit less, 3.2. Sorry, I was a 3.6 in high school and then 3.2 in college-ish. So, I mean, I got A's and B's. There were some tough classes. Obviously, juggling the wrestling schedule with the school schedule. But man, like I said, if you were not getting it done in the classroom, and you better really be getting it done on the mats, because if you weren't and you didn't have good grades, you were literally going to get cut from the team. And Coach Smith didn't care. He was not going to apologize. You can go wrestle somewhere else where they don't take where they have lower standards. So it was cool, man. It was a great experience, and like I said, I wouldn't be where I was without that experience. So.
You weren't one of those jocks that could find some freshman, to do your homework for you?
I will say there were other sports that I witnessed kind of in the study halls and all that kind of stuff, where I'm just like, man, is that a tutor or is that like a is that a tutor or is that like a homework doer? But no, man, it was a lot of the wrestlers. I mean, we had some great upperclassmen too. I mean, Ben Askren was actually a really, really, really smart dude. This kid, Tyler McCormick, was a couple-time All-American. I mean, he had literally a 4.0. He's working for the Attorney General or working for the mayor of Missouri now. I mean, we had some good examples. By the time I got there, Coach Smith had kind of cleaned up the roster of guys to where it became a cool place to really be motivated in the classroom and on the mat. So I had some great upperclassmen with me, and then I had some great guys I came in with, and I, just blessed to be a part of a cool group of dudes that I will be friends with the rest of my life.
One thing's for sure.
Bullshitting, George. I'm looking at his transcripts right now. Look at this. A in music appreciation, A in ballroom dancing, A in golf. This guy is a great student.
I'll tell you what he didn't get an A in was political science or geography, because Missouri doesn't have a mayor. Missouri's a state. They have a governor. And here's another thing. I caught Chandler in a lie. He actually did try and get one of those pimple face geeks to do his homework for you. He didn't. The kid elected not to do it, and then Chandler had some choice words for him. I only caught the end of it, but hit it, Danny.
I had no idea you were
Oh
setting
my
me up.
God!
I'm
Man, he laid an egg. You know that one time when the guy wouldn't do the homework for Chandler, and Chandler told him to. You got to be kidding me!
Oh man!
You got to be kidding me, Goes.
I don't know what's going on today.
Beat it, nerd.
There it is. There it is. I'm terrible at this. Why did I go down that road? My producer.
Here's what I've realized about going down the road of calling people nerds is I think there's a misconception with the word nerd. The word nerd isn't like the kid with the glasses and blah, 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 like the kid you see on the sitcoms who just like Urkel. That's what I don't consider that a nerd. I think that's like the traditional look of a nerd, like a guy who just is kind of an outcast, kind of nobody likes him or people make fun of him. That's not what I'm talking about. A nerd was like Patricio Pitbull, like a guy who's kind of in my face, overstepping his bounds. Beat it, nerd, So you got to be careful. You got to be careful with the way you use the word nerd, because my wife was a straight A student. My wife did math competitions. Like she would be in these competitions with kids in high school and that kind of stuff. So I got no problem with people working extremely hard in the classroom, because one of the people I look up to, Tyler McCormick, Ben Askren, those guys were awesome aces in the classroom, but I would never consider them nerds. They just took what they had a job and they took it seriously and got an A.
Goes?
Kind of just beat it nerd you, George.
Yeah, he kind of just checked me a little bit.
Chandler.
I'm just saying you got to be careful. You got to be careful, because I never want to let a younger kid listen to this think, oh man, I don't want to get an A. I don't want to work too hard in the classroom because then I'll get called a nerd. No, you're going to be called extremely successful. You're going to get called rich. You're going to get called a leader. That's what you're going to get called if you do well in the classroom, not a nerd. So now if you stick your finger in my face after I just knock out your sister has been people. There I go again, getting myself in trouble again. I would never hit a girl, but I would knock out the chicky pitbull. So then I call you a nerd.
Man, Jason may need to close that door. I know those Pitbull brothers are get out of hand. Michael, you're a Mizzou guy, and George mentioned the Oklahoma State guys, the Arizona State guys, great wrestling programs. With the whole thing that's going on with some of these wrestling programs being shut down, do you guys all come together as a community to help out another school, or is there too much of rivalries? How does it? Because it seems like you guys are a tight-knit community overall.
Oh man, it's so tight knit. And I could go on talking about it for days. But yeah, I mean, it kills me that I know Boise State is in danger of losing their program. When Arizona State kind of dropped their program for a little while, a guy came back and donated and helped them get it back. I mean, when they were talking about pulling the wrestling out of the Olympics, there was millions of people just with that save wrestling hashtag that everyone was using. I mean, it's such a tight-knit community, and because I just think it's such a blue-collar, it's not a flashy sport. It's not you're never going to, I mean, it was so cool when I would get put in the newspaper. I mean, it barely ever happened because wrestling just doesn't get that kind of notoriety that basketball, football, baseball does. So with that, you get that little bit of, I don't want to say chip on your shoulder, but you get that little bit of, okay, football players, I know I work harder than you. Okay, baseball players, I know you get all the notoriety, but we know who the hardest worker in the room is right now. We know who the guy is that if you're in the trenches, you want me next to you, not your fellow baseball player or football player or whatever, and I don't mean to demean those sports. I'm just saying we come from that non-spotlight, small gyms, very little notoriety, blue-collar hard work ethic that, I may have wrestled you 10 times and lost to you every single time, but I got a ton of respect for you, and if your program was about to get dropped, I'm going to fight for it and I'm going to help it out, and I think that's why you've seen so many wrestlers become so successful because, shoot, man, I fight my tail off because I was used to fighting my tail off in front of, 150 people in Columbia, Missouri, with no cameras there and barely making any kind of headlines in the Mizzou school newspaper ever until we started becoming really, really good. So I came from that no spotlight into the spotlight of mixed martial arts, and it's such a big commercial sport with all the lights and the glitz and the glam and the money and the fighting in Madison Square Garden now. So all of this is such a huge cherry on the top. So it makes me work extra hard. So it's hard to explain it, but if you're a wrestler, I'm gonna like you more than if you weren't a wrestler a little bit. So it's just interesting.
I'll tell you what else is interesting. I started to feel bad because I respect Michael Chandler a lot, and when he talks, I listen. He's a world champion, for crying out loud. But then I went back and I have this computer in front of me and I looked up the definition of nerd, and it says a foolish or contemptible person who lacks social skills or is boringly studious. So there is something to the studious person being a nerd.
Okay.
Then I hit images, and nobody here looks like Patricio Pitbull. All right, actually Urkel was there, right, guys? That's Urkel.
Urkel's there. Yeah.
Urkel's there.
Napoleon
then
Dynamite.
I went to the movie Revenge of the Nerds, and none of them were Brazilian fighters or anything like that. So I'm sticking with it, man. I'm sticking with it. Now I know. Now I reemphasize what a nerd is, and some of these are still nerds to me.
That's fine. But all I'm saying is, if you're a young man, young woman right now listening to this, trust me, you are not going to be called a nerd if you get great grades and you work extremely hard in the classroom. You're not going to be called a nerd. You're going to be called extremely successful. You're going to be called wealthy, and you're going to be called a leader.
Yes, that's true.
Heck, I married a quote unquote nerd. My wife, she was going through PA school and then residency whenever we met, and I barely ever got to talk to her because she was always studying, or she was always doing this, or she was always doing that. I was like, man, that is freaking strikingly attractive. So.
And in Mike's defense, if you read the first portion of that definition, a foolish or contemptible person.
Mm-hmm. No, I did read that part, but then I said, or boringly studious.
Yeah. So who lacks social skills? So if that's the way I interpreted Mike's words in describing that individual, I mean that fits the definition. So I'm with you, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I just think it sounds funny. Let's be honest, we're all just having this conversation because it sounds funny.
It does.
Nerd,
It does. I love that, man. That's one of our favorite sound bites. Goes, believe it or not, you can get your last question in. Fire away.
Believe it, are you sure?
Yeah, we got 45 seconds. You can do it.
All right, 45 seconds. Michael Chandler, before your motivation was always get back your belt, prove to everyone that you're the best. What's the new motivation? Is it as simple as just defending your belt, or is there something else out there that motivates you?
Yeah, it's defending the belt, but, man, I was just writing in my journal this morning and just writing things about myself and what I want to do, man. I just feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of how good I am. It's really starting to click these last couple fights and these performances that I'm putting on. But, man, I see and envision myself doing things in this sport with my technique and with my precision and with my speed and my power that I didn't think was possible up until the last year or so, and I see it and I feel it coming to fruition. And man, I just want to outperform my previous self. I want people to look at me and say, man, that guy is something special. That guy is talented, and that guy says what he means and means what he says, and he works extremely hard. So if he can do it, if he can accomplish what he's accomplishing, then I can accomplish this crazy dream that I have that all these people told me that I couldn't do. Really, at the end of the day, I was just a little guy from a little town who was trying to do big things. A big shot is just a little shot that never stops shooting. And that's really what I have been and what I always will be. And through all of this, it's about that constant, never-ending improvement and making a better life for my wife and my future kids. And I'm on that road, and I couldn't be more happy. And this next chapter of my life is just about breaking those barriers, continue to outperform my previous self, and just to get better every single day and inspire and motivate people. That's really what it's about. And along the way, win a ton of fights and put food on the table.
Thanks, champ, for the time. We appreciate it as always, man. Good luck with this camp. Good luck at Bellator 180. We'll be tuning in. You know it.
You got it. Thank you, guys. I'll see you.
See ya. All right, folks, quick break. We'll come back, close up shop. MMAjunkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. All right, folks, we are out of here. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show with Rob Cardenas on Twitter at Rob Cardenas ESQ. Give him a holler if you have any problems. He will advise you. Thanks, Rob, for the time as always. Also to Michael Chandler at Mike Chandler MMA, fighting Brett Primus at Bellator 180, Bellator NYC. It's two different names that they have, but he will be out there at Madison Square Garden defending his belt. And also want to thank Josh Gross, co-host of The Outsiders. He, along with Jeff Sherwood, dropping their show every Tuesday. Check it out on patreon.com/outsiders. Great job, Jason B, with the tough recap. Danny on the producing side. Kind of left me hanging, though, there with that little nerd soundbite. Goes, as always, top-notch. I took it to another level. I was fantastic. Go Man U. They play Celta Vigo, and it starts right now. We will see you tomorrow, folks. Be champions.
Viva